There are 6 groups of survival foods that long-term preppers tend to talk about, less than the familiar items you see online. Not because they are rare or too expensive, but because their value only becomes clear when you have to live off your pantry for weeks. A stockpile full of rice, pasta, and canned food may feel reassuring, but it can still leave out protein, fat, iodine, vitamins, and the things that keep meals from becoming monotonous. So today, we are not looking for some magical superfood. We are going through 6 groups, each one addressing a different link in what the body needs. And number 1 is not the strangest item. It is a group so ordinary that many people only start paying attention when prices change, supplies tighten, or familiar choices are no longer as easy to buy as before. 6. Iodized salt. The small item most easily forgotten in a stockpile. Imagine walking into a room filled with stored food. Large bags of rice, buckets of dried beans, cooking oil, and canned goods would certainly catch your eye first. But a container of iodized salt sitting in the corner of a shelf. You would probably walk right past it without giving it a thought. But small items like this are what reveal whether a stockpile was built with a plan or simply filled with quantity. Salt does not replace rice, beans, or protein. However, the body still needs sodium to maintain fluid balance and support nerve and muscle function. If the salt is fortified with iodine, you also get a micronutrient needed for thyroid function and metabolism. What is easy to overlook is that not every type of salt contains iodine. Sea salt, kosher salt, or coarse salt may work well for cooking, but they are not necessarily fortified with iodine. If this is your family's usual source of iodine, read the label instead of judging it by appearance alone. America learned this lesson more than a century ago. In the early 20th century, many areas around the Great Lakes had high rates of goiter caused by iodine deficiency, to the point that a broad region became known as the Goiter Belt. In 1924, Michigan became one of the first places to introduce iodized salt widely as a public health measure. What is worth remembering is how small the solution was, simply adding iodine to something nearly every family already used. When a diet has to narrow for weeks, the importance of this detail becomes even clearer. A stockpile often revolves around rice, beans, oats, pasta, flour, and canned foods. The less variety there is, the more important it becomes to check for micronutrients that are easy to overlook. Salt has another practical role, helping basic foods remain easy to eat. A bowl of rice and beans may be fine for a few days. After several weeks, the same flavor repeated again and again becomes harder to tolerate. A moderate amount of salt can improve beans, vegetables, soups, and many simple dishes without requiring complicated ingredients. Salt is also very easy to store. It does not need refrigeration or special equipment. Its biggest enemy is moisture. Keep it somewhere cool, dry, and sealed. If you buy it in bulk, dividing it among several smaller containers is more convenient than repeatedly opening the entire bag. For iodized salt specifically, I do not recommend buying an enormous amount and storing it for decades. Salt is very stable, but its iodine content can decline over time and under certain storage conditions. A more practical approach is to keep a reasonable amount, use it regularly, and replace it as needed. When it comes to cost, this is not an item that needs to be fancy. Compare prices by weight, read the ingredients, and choose a product fortified with iodine that fits your family's needs. A store brand can do this job perfectly well. You also do not need to buy 10 containers just because you heard salt is important. The only thing worth checking is, does your home actually have iodized salt? Because there is a rather funny contradiction here. You can store dozens of bags of rice while still forgetting one small container of salt that could fill a very basic nutritional gap. That is the point of number 6. Important links do not always take up much space, and if salt is so small that it is easy to overlook, the next section is even harder to notice. You can still eat your fill every day, while your diet quietly loses essential vitamins and micronutrients. 5. Foods rich in vitamins and micronutrients. Open your pantry and look at it as if you were seeing it for the first time. A bag of white rice, pale yellow pasta, brown dried beans, white flour, beige oats. At first glance, everything looks pretty solid. You have carbs, protein, and enough ingredients for many meals. But if most of your stockpile revolves around just a few foods like these, there is one question worth asking. Where will your vitamins and other micronutrients come from if you have to eat from this pantry for weeks? Hunger is easy to recognize, but a diet that becomes less and less varied gives no clear warning. You can still feel full while your sources of vitamins and minerals from fresh food gradually decline. Fortified nutritional yeast is one example worth considering. Do not confuse it with yeast used to make bread. This kind has been deactivated, is usually pale yellow, and has a rich, slightly cheesy flavor. Many products contain B vitamins, and some are fortified with B12. So if you are buying it for the vitamins, read the label instead of assuming they are all the same. You can sprinkle a little over rice, pasta, vegetables, or soup. 1 tablespoon will not make a meal complete, but it can add micronutrients, make simple food less bland, and fit easily into meals. Next are dried mushrooms. Dried mushrooms do not replace meat as a source of protein, but they are light, compact, easy to store, and bring a strong umami flavor. After days of eating rice and beans, even a few mushrooms soaked until soft and added to the pot can change the flavor of the entire meal. Here is one tip worth remembering. Do not rush to pour out clean mushroom-soaking water. That liquid can be used as a base for soup, broth, or stew. You already used the water to rehydrate the mushrooms, so make use of the flavor they left behind. Dried mushrooms are also worth looking for at Asian supermarkets or in the international food aisle, where there are often more options. If you have never used a certain kind before, buy a small amount first, try cooking with it, and then increase your supply. Dried vegetables also deserve a small place in the pantry. They do not replace fresh vegetables, but dried carrots, onions, or greens can add color, texture, and some micronutrients to soup, rice, or beans. If you buy them, prioritize the kinds your family already eats and keep them tightly sealed, dry, and away from heat. Canned sardines address another part of the problem. 1 small can can provide protein, omega-3 fats, vitamin D, and calcium if you eat the soft bones. No cooking required. No extra water needed. No refrigeration before opening. Dried beans are inexpensive, but they require water and heat. Sardines only require opening the can and can be eaten straight, with bread, rice, or pasta. The drawback is obvious too. Not everyone likes sardines, so do not look at the nutrition label and buy 3 cases. Buy a few cans first and try them 2 or 3 different ways. If your family will actually eat them, then increase your supply. Do not stock up on micronutrients through foods you have never eaten. Instead of buying many unfamiliar products at once, add 1 item each month that you already know how to use. Dried mushrooms, nutritional yeast, a few cans of sardines, or some dried vegetables. After a few months, your pantry will be more varied without requiring you to spend too much money at once. For storage, do not lump everything under one number. Nutritional yeast should be kept sealed, protected from moisture, and stored according to the package directions. Dried mushrooms and vegetables need protection from light, heat, and moisture. Large packages should be divided into smaller portions. Canned sardines should be rotated according to the date printed on the can. Cans that are swollen, leaking, heavily rusted, or unusually damaged are not worth the risk just to save a few dollars. To save money, compare prices by weight and by how much you will realistically use. Large bags of mushrooms or nutritional yeast sold in bulk may cost less, while sardines are only worth buying by the pack once your family is used to eating them. Fish and seafood prices are another category worth watching in 2026. That does not mean sardines are about to disappear from store shelves. It simply means this is a food source worth buying with a plan instead of waiting until you need it. Now look at your pantry again. If you already have enough rice, pasta, flour, and beans, that is a good start. But ask one more question. If I had to eat from this room for 2 or 3 months, where would my vitamins, minerals, and variety come from? You do not need dozens of products. You only need a few items chosen with purpose and actually used. Calories tell you when you are hungry. A lack of nutritional variety is often much quieter. After 6 or 8 weeks of eating from the same pantry, would you still really want to eat what is sitting on those shelves? 4. Fermented foods, flavor builders, and foods that prevent flavor fatigue. A stockpile can still be full even when meals have started to become a problem. After several weeks, rice, beans, pasta, and dried vegetables keep repeating. There is still enough food, but the desire to eat it gradually fades. That is why number 4 focuses on things used in very small amounts that can change an entire meal. A good stockpile does not just need to last a long time. You also need to want to eat it for a long time. Miso is the clearest example. Just 1 small spoonful can add a salty, deep, rich flavor to broth. It can also be used with rice, noodles, vegetables, sauces, or marinades. The value of miso is not in its calories, but in its ability to turn familiar ingredients into many different kinds of meals. Fermented pastes made from beans and grains have existed in East Asia for a very long time. Early on, people used salt and fermentation to create foods with stronger flavors that could easily remain part of meals over the long term. When stocking miso, follow the storage directions on the label. After opening, many products are better kept refrigerated and rotated regularly. Instead of buying a large amount right away, try a small quantity and make sure your family actually knows how to use it. Vinegar plays a similar role in a different way. A little acidity can make beans feel less heavy, vegetables less bland, and fatty dishes more balanced. Vinegar can be used in sauces, salads, stews, or tested pickling recipes. You do not need to keep too many kinds either. 1 bottle of white vinegar, one type your family regularly uses such as apple cider vinegar or rice vinegar, and 1 source of umami like miso are enough to open up many ways to change rice, beans, noodles, and vegetables. Vinegar is also fairly easy to store when tightly sealed and kept somewhere cool, dry, and away from high heat. If you use it for pickling or long-term food preservation, follow a safe recipe instead of guessing the acid ratio. One useful rule is to buy according to how you cook, not according to the number of bottles. If your family enjoys Asian-style dishes, miso, rice vinegar, and dried mushrooms can work well together. If you are used to simple American meals, apple cider vinegar, mustard, and a few commonly used dried herbs may be more practical. Other fermented foods, such as sauerkraut or fermented vegetables, are only worth stocking if your family already eats them. Imagine reaching week 6. There is still rice and beans, but tonight you add miso and dried mushrooms to the soup. Tomorrow, the beans are mixed with a little vinegar and herbs. The number of calories barely changes, but the meal is different. That is the real value of number 4. Keeping basic foods from becoming difficult to eat after weeks of repetition. And in the next section, we will move from flavor to a different problem. How to make sure a small serving still provides enough energy. 3. Energy-dense fats. A very small change happens when the food budget starts getting tight. The plate does not become empty right away, it just gradually gets smaller. A little less meat, fewer side dishes, a pot of soup stretched for one more meal. Rice and beans appear more often because they are inexpensive and easy to budget. The problem is that when portions shrink, the body still needs energy. That is when fats become valuable in a way the size of an oil bottle or peanut butter jar cannot show. Fat packs a lot of energy into a small amount. It is also necessary for absorbing fat-soluble vitamins and is a normal part of a balanced diet. In a long-term stockpile, this creates a very practical advantage. You do not have to make a meal larger to make it more energy-dense. Peanut butter is the easiest example to use, not because it is some special secret. Most Americans already know it. What makes it valuable is that a single jar can work in many different situations. In the morning, a spoonful can be mixed into oatmeal. At lunch, it goes with bread or crackers. With a little water and seasoning, it can even become the base for a sauce served with noodles or vegetables. There is no required cooking step, and you do not have to turn on any appliance to get energy from it. That is a very different quality from dry foods. A bag of beans can sit on a shelf for years, but to turn it into dinner, you have to pay extra in water, time, and fuel. Peanut butter has almost none of that preparation cost. Cooking oil sits on the opposite side. You do not sit down and eat oil by the spoonful, but it goes into almost everything. A little oil can help roast vegetables, fry rice, make beans less dry, create a sauce, or help you use simple ingredients that would quickly become tiresome if they were only boiled. If your family already uses clarified butter or a type of animal fat for cooking, those can hold a small place as well. Not because they are better than oil, but because a sensible stockpile should reflect your family's real kitchen. This is where I think many people buy the wrong thing. They look for the fat with the longest shelf life instead of asking which one they will actually use. A product may sit on the shelf for 3 years, but if you have never cooked with it, those 3 years do not create much value. By contrast, a bottle of oil you use every week is easy to manage. Use the bottle in front first and place the new one behind it. There is no need to remember a complicated system because the kitchen creates its own rotation, and fats are exactly the group that requires this way of thinking. White rice can be packaged to last a very long time. Salt gives you almost no reason to worry about rancidity. But cooking oils, nut butters, and many other fats run on a different clock. Oxygen, light, and temperature can all gradually reduce their quality. So I would not build a fat stockpile the same way I would build a grain stockpile. With this group, flow matters more than quantity. How much do you use in 3 months? That number is far more useful than asking how many bottles you can fit on a shelf. If your family uses 1 bottle of oil each month, keeping a few extra bottles in reserve is a manageable strategy. If 1 jar of peanut butter lasts 6 weeks, use that pace to calculate how much to buy. When buying, do not let package size fool you either. A 40-ounce jar often has a better price per ounce than a smaller jar. But cheaper only matters if you use it up within a reasonable amount of time. A large jar that gets opened and then sits too long in a hot kitchen may save money on the receipt, but turn out to be a poor decision in practice. The same is true for oil. A family that cooks often may benefit from a large bottle. Someone who uses less has good reason to choose a smaller bottle because the unopened portion remains protected from air longer. There is another tip I prefer over filling an entire shelf with the same product. Divide your fat sources by purpose. One for eating right away, such as peanut butter. One for cooking, usually an oil your family already knows and uses. If needed, add a third for specific dishes. 3 clear rolls are better than 8 bottles bought, because maybe we will need them someday. This also helps control costs. Not every item goes up in price at the same time. When one type of oil becomes expensive, you can adjust how you cook or use another source in some meals. When peanut butter goes on sale, you can restock the exact amount you will use. You do not need to predict prices 6 months from now. You only need to avoid 2 situations: buying when you are almost out and buying too much just because it is on sale. Storing the rest should be just as simple. Keep oils and nut butters somewhere cool and dark, away from the stove or places where heat builds up. Keep unused products in their original, unopened packaging. Put older items in front and newer ones behind them. That is not some secret survival technique. It is just good food management. And perhaps that is the real reason fats deserve the number 3 spot. During normal life, a smaller portion may only leave you feeling a little hungry. But if eating has to be carefully planned for weeks, the ability to pack more energy into a moderate amount of food becomes much more valuable. You do not need to turn your kitchen into an oil warehouse. You just need to make sure a stockpile full of rice, pasta, and beans does not accidentally become a diet that is far too low in fat. Because once energy has been addressed, the next question becomes even more important for people over 50. If meat, eggs, and dairy become difficult to buy or store, what will help you preserve the strength your body is gradually losing each year? 2. Beans and long-lasting protein sources. After age 50, strength rarely disappears in a single day. It usually fades through small signs. A grocery bag suddenly feels heavier. Climbing the stairs requires a slower pace, and carrying 2 jugs of water from the car into the house starts requiring an extra break. In normal life, those changes are easy to overlook. But if you have to live on stored food for weeks, maintaining your strength becomes a practical part of staying independent. That is why number 2 is not one specific type of bean, but a group of protein sources that can sit on the shelf without refrigeration. Fresh meat, eggs, and milk are convenient while the power is still on. Dried beans need water and heat to cook, but in return, they do not depend on a cold chain, are easy to portion, and usually cost much less than many animal protein sources. The smartest question is not, which bean is best? Ask, what job should each one do? Lentils are worth considering when cooking. Fuel has to be carefully managed. They usually soften much faster than many larger beans and can be made into soup, stew, served with rice, or cooked until thick. Along with protein and fiber, their most practical advantage is their shorter preparation time. An inexpensive food is not necessarily inexpensive if you have to use too much gas or electricity to cook it. Chickpeas are worth keeping for their versatility. Cooked whole, they go with rice or vegetables. Mashed, they become hummus. Roasted, they become a snack. Mashed into soup, they help thicken it. If you have the right equipment, you can even grind them into flour for certain recipes. One bag of food does not force your family to eat it only one way. Pinto beans and black beans have another advantage: familiarity. Rice and black beans, chili, tacos, burritos, and soup are all dishes American families already know. When everything becomes inconvenient, Not having to learn a new way to cook is an advantage. Navy beans work well in soups and stews. Split peas soften fairly quickly and can make a thick, hot soup that is easy to divide into portions. So instead of buying 50 or 100 pounds of the same kind, divide your stockpile by purpose. Lentils for days when you need to cook quickly. Chickpeas for versatility. Pinto and black beans for familiar meals. Navy beans and split peas for soups and stews. But dried beans have a weakness. They need water, heat, and sometimes a long time to soften. That is why a practical pantry should not contain only dried beans. Most of your supply can be dried because they are economical and easy to store. But keeping some canned beans is useful for days when you cannot cook for long. Dried beans save money. Canned beans save time. To reduce cooking costs, pre-soak the types that benefit from it. If you already know how to use a pressure cooker, that is another way to shorten the cooking time. Keep extra lentils or split peas so you are not entirely dependent on varieties that require long simmering. Dried beans need to be kept sealed, dry, cool, and protected from insects. For an amount used regularly, airtight containers are enough. For long-term storage, you can use specialized packaging, appropriate oxygen absorbers, and sturdy buckets to limit moisture and pests. One detail is easy to overlook. The older beans get, the longer they usually take to soften. Still usable does not mean as easy to cook as fresh beans. So even long-term foods should be checked and rotated properly. For people over 50, the value of this group is not about exercise or appearance. Protein helps the body maintain and repair tissue, while muscle mass is directly connected to the ability to walk, keep your balance, carry things, and care for yourself. When meat, eggs, or milk become more expensive, beans do not need to replace them completely. They only need to give the family another stable protein source and reduce dependence on a single option. Market signals are worth noting too. There is no evidence that the United States is about to face a nationwide bean shortage. But beef and veal prices in 2026 remain significantly higher than they were during the same period a year earlier. When animal protein sources face price pressure, inexpensive, dry foods that need no refrigeration naturally become more valuable in the household budget. And that is how to look at number 2. Do not search for one perfect bean. Give each one a job. One helps save fuel. One creates many different meals. One is familiar to the family. One is ready for the day you do not want to cook for long. Because during an extended period, protein does more than keep you full. It helps you remain strong enough to carry water, stand up, climb stairs, clean, and care for yourself. And number 1 will be the food group that provides the energy foundation needed for everything above to truly deliver its value. 1. Foundational grains and starches. Some foods are bought for flavor. Some foods are bought for convenience. But there is also a group that has outlasted every trend, simply because these foods are affordable enough, familiar enough, and flexible enough to keep appearing on the table when budgets start getting tight. Those are grains and foundational starches. So the number 1 spot does not belong to rice, oats, or wheat alone. It belongs to the foods that create the framework that allows the other groups to become a complete meal. White rice is the clearest example. The strength of rice is not that it can do everything. Its strength is that so many other foods can go with it. Today it is beans. Tomorrow it is canned fish. Another day, it might be dried vegetables, mushrooms, a little oil, or broth. The same source of starch can make a meal feel completely different depending on what you pair with it. So when buying rice, do not just look at the price of the entire bag. Look at the price by weight and ask how many meals your family normally eats that money can actually create. A large bag only saves money if you have somewhere to keep it dry and protected from insects, and you use it quickly enough that it does not sit forgotten for too long. Rice is also worth watching more closely in 2026. The USDA has lowered its forecast for U.S. rice production in the 2026-27 season to about 153.3 million CWT, the lowest level in 39 years. Ending stocks are also projected to be lower than in recent years. The supply chain is still operating normally, but the buffer has narrowed. With a product used regularly, when production and inventories both decline, prices become something worth watching early instead of only noticing once the grocery bill rises significantly. Oats address a different problem: time. A bowl of oatmeal can be prepared quickly and paired with peanut butter, dried fruit, honey, cinnamon, or a little salt. Under normal conditions, a few extra minutes of cooking do not matter much. But if fuel, electricity, or time all have to be carefully managed, a quick cooking food has value of its own. That is also why plain oats usually make more sense than flavored instant packets. You are paying mainly for the grain itself, then deciding what you want to add. Whole wheat berries serve a different kind of long-term preparation. Flour is ready to go into a recipe. Wheat berries are not. To grind them into flour, you need equipment. To cook them whole, you need to know how to prepare them. That difference matters greatly. Grains that still have their full structure usually retain their quality better than ground flour when stored properly. But a long shelf life only matters when you can actually turn the ingredient into food. Do not stockpile something you do not know how to use. 10 bags of whole wheat berries without a grinder or the skills to prepare them do not create 10 bags of meals. They only create a plan that is missing its final step. The wheat market in 2026 is sending a noteworthy signal as well. The USDA projects that U.S. production will decline significantly from the previous year, while ending stocks will also be lower. Wheat goes into too many products for those changes to stop with the grain itself. Flour, bread, pasta, crackers, and many other processed foods are all part of the same ingredient chain. Barley does not need to take up as much space as the three groups above, but it has one role worth keeping: creating more options. Add a little barley to soup or stew, and you get a completely different texture from rice or oats. A secondary starch like this helps keep the entire food supply from depending on a single item. This is also how I would divide grains by purpose. Rice is for meals that are easy to pair with other foods. Oats are for when you need something quick. Whole wheat berries are for people who want to prepare for a longer period and already have the proper equipment. Barley or another secondary grain adds more variety to the menu. Only then should you think about storage. The portion used regularly should be kept somewhere easy to reach. The medium-term supply needs to be sealed and protected from moisture and insects. Only the portion truly intended for long-term storage requires sturdier packaging, oxygen control, and serious storage conditions. A good grain stockpile is not measured by how high the bags are stacked. It is measured by how many meals you can actually make from them. History also shows why these seemingly ordinary foods matter so much. Before the French Revolution, bread once consumed a very large share of the budget for many working families. Pressure from food prices was not the only cause of social unrest, but when a foundational food becomes too expensive, the effects go straight into daily life. That is what makes grains different from many other products. They do not have to become scarce to become important. Prices only need to rise, supplies need to tighten, or shopping needs to become unpredictable, and people feel it immediately because grains sit at the center of so many meals. So if there is one idea to keep from the number one spot, I would not say, rice is king. I would say, build a group of foundational foods flexible enough for the entire kitchen to revolve around them. Rice, oats, wheat, and barley can each handle different jobs. When they are chosen with purpose, protein, fats, salt, micronutrients, and seasonings finally have a foundation that allows them to provide real value. That is why number one is not a single food. It is the ability to keep creating familiar, energy-rich, sustainable meals from very ordinary ingredients. After 6 sections, what matters is not how many bags of rice you have, how many cans of food you have, or how full your pantry is. What matters more is what job each food group is doing for your body and which link is still missing. Good preparation is not about adding more items to the shelves. It is about building a system with enough energy, enough protein, fats, minerals, micronutrients, and enough ways to change your meals so you can keep eating them for weeks. So do not just ask, how much food do I have left? Ask, if I had to live off this room for 3 months, what would my body lack first? A full pantry is only an image. A balanced pantry is a real system. If you could add only one of these 6 groups today, which one is your home missing most? Share your answer in the comments.